This is episode number 3 of the Peak 10 Gaming Industry Technical Series. My name is Bill Cashman. I'm a gaming infrastructure design architect here at Peak 10, and I'll be your host for the entire series. As a reminder, this series is focused on answering the IT questions that have plagued the gaming community, such as managing scalability, guaranteeing low latency to keep your players happy, maintaining security and data integrity on the important pieces of information in your infrastructure, focusing your programmers on their primary task of developing your platform, and streamlining that task. And then this episode is around the cloud. When you walk to a newsstand these days, you see the cloud on the front of many different periodicals. And the reason for it is very obvious. The cloud is the most recent iteration of the intelligent IT delivery infrastructure methodology. So it's a philosophy around the design, delivery, and execution of infrastructure, and it often is known as infrastructure as a service. The benefits of the cloud are many depending on your infrastructure, and many different companies look at the cloud for many different reasons. The top two reasons are typically scalability and uptime. In a cloud, you have the capability to drastically scale your infrastructure very, very quickly. And the scalability of a cloud also brings with it uptime, as there are many different redundant systems built into a proper cloud. Often those can see cost savings, and they can take what typically would be a capital expenditure and move it to more of a monthly operating expense. And that freedom from hardware that the cloud gives you, once again, allows you to port your applications from one site to another, and it can really ease the transition between pre-production and development and post-production. Characteristics of the cloud are not necessarily the same for every cloud because not all clouds are created the same. But clouds typically have such characteristics as on-demand self-service, metered capabilities to be able to determine what resources you're using and pay for just the resources that you do utilize, elasticity of the resource pool to allow you to scale up and scale down very quickly, as well as resource pooling, which allows your busy servers to use the resource they need while your latent servers are able to quiesce that resource and allow your busy servers to use them. And then a true cloud provider will have many different networks that you can access to so that you're not beholden to any one provider. There are a few typical service delivery models for the cloud, the most common of which is known as the public cloud. The public cloud would be a co-tenant infrastructure designed for server infrastructure. Some examples of public cloud that are commonly known would be Amazon or EC2, Salesforce, Microsoft Azure, and Rackspace. Typically, a public cloud is going to be the least secure and going to have a low cost point entry. On the other end of the spectrum is the private cloud. Peak 10 is a private cloud provider, and many managed services providers are as well. But many private clouds are self-managed by companies. In between private and public cloud is where the enterprise cloud lives. Peak 10's primary offerings are around enterprise cloud, as are Terramark, Savvis, and SunGuard. Enterprise cloud has many of the features of a private cloud, but also has co-tenant infrastructure typically in the back end. So maybe your storage or your network is a co-tenant infrastructure, whereas your compute layer may be dedicated to you in the enterprise cloud. A special kind of cloud that lives between private cloud and enterprise cloud is what's known as the federated cloud. Many companies that have private clouds, as they scale up, leverage the enterprise cloud to manage that scalability so that they can make a capital expenditure into a small portion of their cloud but can leverage an enterprise cloud provider such as Peak 10 to scale up. That cloud infrastructure and that methodology is known as federated cloud. Not all clouds are created equal, so when you're out there looking for a cloud provider, there are many different metrics that you want to look at. For many companies, price is of utmost importance, but there are many different things to look at as well. The infrastructure that is deployed by the cloud provider can drastically affect both the performance and the support level. So if you have a fiber channel SAN, typically you can provide a better performance on your disk subsystem than an IP-based SAN would. And typically, having all the different redundancies and having enterprise-level capabilities on your hardware and enterprise-class hardware is going to give you a higher level of support around uptime, availability, and performance. If you're handling your own critical information, such as payment card information, security is absolutely key. And then having a relationship with your cloud provider and being able to talk through what you do and how you do it and have an informed decision made by you and your cloud provider as to how to deliver it is key. Not all clouds are created equal, and not all cloud providers are created equal. Security is a key critical piece to focus on when you're looking for a cloud provider. Adherence to standards such as the SSAE 16 certification or the PCI DSS certification are key, especially if you're handling pieces such as your payment card information and other critical pieces of information on your systems. Having well-defined service level agreements allow you to set your expectations of you and your user base based on what cloud provider is providing to you. And understand what happens if you do decide that you've outgrown your cloud provider or you want to switch your cloud provider, as far as how that exit strategy looks. Many cloud providers, because of the capabilities underneath the hood of the virtualization platform that supports the cloud, will also do what we know as oversubscription. Oversubscription allows a cloud provider to use their resources a lot more robustly, but often can put your applications at risk. So understand exactly what kind of oversubscription ratios that your cloud provider has. We'll go into a lot more depth on the cloud in our advanced class on this. Stay tuned to see that soon here on the Peak 10 Gaming Industry Technology channel. Meanwhile, keep Peak 10 in mind. Peak 10 is a real-time IT strategy. We've solved these questions and others for many different gaming companies, and we'd love to talk to you about them as well. If you'd like to know more information, please give us an email at realtimestrategy@peak10.com. Once again, my name's Bill Cashman, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today.